Good morning. Good morning. What's happening, family? Welcome to the show this morning. It is Michelle Bryant. You listen to WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. Man, it's been a busy last couple of hours, last 24 hours, and we got a lot to talk about on the show this morning. But first of all, let me say good morning to my compadres, partners in crime. What up, K Sweezy? What's going on, boy? How you doing this morning?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's how you go. That's it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Carvey, how you doing this morning, bruh? My man. So look, family. Yesterday, we know that President Joe Biden was in the city of Milwaukee, coming off a strong performance on his State of the Union address and clinching the necessary needed delegates to secure the Democratic conventions. I'm sorry, the Democratic nomination for president. Joe Biden is on a roll right now, and he is going around the country to talk about the work of his administration, the Biden-Harris administration, and trying to build on the momentum of the last several days. When we look at what took place in Milwaukee yesterday, this is one of those things when it's hard to always understand the details about the work that's being done. And folks will say, I don't necessarily see, uh, some of the differences. What's the difference if Biden is elected? I'm sorry, reelected, or if Trump gets in. And there are clear cut differences when you start to talk about the accomplishments of these administrations and how that directly benefits our community, the Black community specifically. And yesterday was a visit that helped to highlight that particular information. So a lot of people know that Biden was in town. He was promoting a number of projects that we are doing not only here in Milwaukee but around the country that address a age-old problem. We saw this when we talked about the shooting that occurred in Buffalo. Remember the shooting at the Black grocery store? And there were people that were talking about that it was easy to target African American consumers or individuals because there was one grocery store, that a highway had been built directly through the Black neighborhood. It split the Black neighborhood up in a way that it cut them off from a lot of other access points to get to goods and retail services. And so for years, this community went without a grocery store. And then finally, one was put in, and it basically became the meeting place, the gathering place. So when an individual was looking for a way to harm members of the Black community, they drove, miles to get to this location and figured out that this is where people congregated. Many cities, many urban communities, many Black communities were split in half. We had similar things happen right here in Milwaukee when freeway systems were put in place. And, if you got to do damage, if you got to disrupt the community, if you have to create a situation in which you're now talking about air pollution from carbon fuels to what's happening when people are driving, fumes from exhaust pipes. Yeah, we're not putting that in our neighborhood. Let's run that through Black neighborhoods. And that's what a lot of folks did. As a result, we have all kinds of health disparities. We have all kinds of financial disparities, economic, impacts and harms that were done to stabilize communities. And you begin to see a lot of disparate things happen as a result of these highways coming through. So the Biden administration, as a part of some of their initiatives, have been trying to figure out how to go back and look at some of these areas around the country and figure out ways to make them more pedestrian friendly, community focused, and to bring neighborhoods and communities into a cohesive situation rather than the division that we've seen that divides people sometimes straight down the middle, and it determines what you have access to and what resources are available to you. So yesterday, Joe Biden was over at the Piper Hillside Boys and Girls Club over off of North 6th Street in West Cherry, promoting the fact that about $37 million is being allocated for a project to convert a 2.6 mile section of 6th Street to a complete street. That they're going to come in and do these initiatives to reconnect and rebuild communities. And they're doing this again across the nation. Remember, communities that were divided by transportation infrastructure, that's those bridges, and I'm sorry, those highways, those freeways that ran through communities, predominantly Black communities. How do we go back and address that and fix that? So as he spent the day in Milwaukee yesterday, people had already talked about the buzz that he was going to be staying down by the Pfister. They saw the security measures going up. People were getting notifications that streets were going to be blocked and closed. So it didn't take a lot to figure out where he would be in the city. And he arrived. And he today, headed out going to Michigan, but he arrived in the city yesterday in the afternoon and hit the ground running. After he was over at the Boys and Girls Club where he did a speech, he stopped by a new Wisconsin campaign headquarters, which is located over off of Highland Avenue, 252 East Highland Avenue. The thing that I talked about and noted yesterday is that there are going to be Biden campaign offices all over the state. They have committed to putting 44 offices around the state of Wisconsin. Understanding, and definitely right here in Milwaukee, understanding that Wisconsin is an important part of this upcoming 2024 election. We are a swing state, a purple state. We can go either way, depending on, the mood and the policies and the issues that are important to residents in this particular community and in the surrounding cities. And so folks know that when you start talking about presidential elections, what can make or break, numbers, voter turnout, your opportunity to win a seat, Wisconsin is always in the mix. We are always at the table because we are a state that could put a Scott Walker in office and a Barack Obama in office at the same time. For folks that are like, what do you mean? One Republican governor and a Democrat as a president. We have the ability to impact elections. In the state of Wisconsin, there was roughly about a 20,000 vote margin between Donald Trump and Joe Biden when they ran in 2020. And we know that that Donald Trump sought to basically get votes thrown out predominantly in the city of Milwaukee and Dane County, which is where most African Americans, a number of progressives or liberal leaning voters live in these two respective counties, the largest counties in the state of Wisconsin. And when you look to go figure out where you believe voter fraud happened, of course, you believe voter fraud happened in the Black community. You believe that Black poll workers, Black voters in some way did something to cheat Donald Trump out of the presidency. This happened in cities around the country, predominantly Black cities. We know what's going on down in Georgia today, as in Fulton County specifically, which, encompasses the city of Atlanta, predominantly Black city, where we know that there's a decision being made about whether or not Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis will be able to proceed on the case involving voter fraud and the ability to try to co-opt the election in Georgia, connected to a sexual relationship that she had with the lead prosecutor now on this case. And so whether or not that's going to interfere with her ability to move forward in that prosecution. We know that in Michigan, there was, an effort to challenge Black voters' ballots in that state as well, and in that city as well, in Detroit predominantly. So over and over again, we can understand that there are a number of things at play. This election is going to be, if all predictions are right, razor thin by way of margin, and people are going to figure out where they have where they're going to land, where they have to decide if I'm going to play or not. There are folks who have said, I am frustrated. I don't like what I see, and I'm staying at home. I'm mad about abortion. I'm mad about immigration. I'm mad about Palestine. I'm mad about any number of issues. But this is the thing. We are down to the wire now. This is not a moment to sit on the sideline. And one of the things, as we went through the day yesterday, it became more clear about when we start talking about the things that I can impact, how I can make a difference, where we can address what's going to happen in the future, not only for this country, but for communities of color, Black folks in particular. When we see that we are constantly under attack, diversity, equity, inclusion, more states coming online to shutter diversity, equity, inclusion divisions in higher education, the state wielding their power in Republican controlled states to be able to make decisions that are specifically and negatively impacting communities of color, all under the guise that we beyond that now. Y'all not being discriminated against no more. Y'all are being given every opportunity to compete fairly. We know that not to be true. So as people are beginning to sift through and these months are winding down and we are coming up against November 2024 in terms of the election, there are real choices that have to be made. What Biden is attempting to do is to get out around the country and to help people more fully understand what he has been doing along with Vice President Harris, what the Biden-Harris administration has been up to in the time that they've been in office. Because one of the things that they say frequently is that Democrats don't do a great job of tooting their own horn, of telling people about the work. Because it's so much to do, you knocking the list down and you get something accomplished and you move on to the next thing. You don't stop to do the full photo ops, to take the bows, to run the story in the ground over and over again. Look at me. I got A resolved, because you understand that there are still B, C, D, E, F, all the way through Z that still need to be tackled. So they don't do a good job. So you will have people saying, well, I don't know how I'm benefiting. I don't know how this is a game changer for me. One of the things that I was impressed by yesterday is when the president was in town, he did a couple of things. Number one, talking about the federal funds from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act and Inflation Reduction Act, job creation efforts that are underway in underrepresented communities, particularly here in Milwaukee, and how that's going to impact us. And of course, he bumped up into protesters. People have been very, very loud about their frustration with what's happening in Gaza right now, calling for a ceasefire. In Red Arrow Park, there were a number of protesters gathered outside to, make that known. I told you when I went to Atlanta, my son and I, we drove right into a massive protest march in the city of Atlanta, talking about a ceasefire, the need to treat people humanely, and that at this point, we are looking at what feels like genocide in relationship to what's happening with the innocent Palestinians, not the members of Hamas, but the innocent Palestinians that are being caught up in the crossfire. Someone that I respect highly, Janaea Najeeb, who is the president of the Milwaukee Women's Coalition, has been one of those vocal voices. These are people that have been supporters of Biden in the past. But this particular issue in relationship to Palestine, Israel, Gaza, Hamas, a two-state solution, whether or not Israel will be the determining factor to always guide what happens to these Palestinians living in this area. These things are pressing people. So folks have got to decide, though, if I don't get the movement I want on that, then what will I do? There was a uncommitment, non-commitment. I forgot the exact phrase that they used for it in primaries around the country back in February, trying to get people not to vote for Biden who typically would have in the primary, to send a message. We've got to figure this whole thing out. So While he was in town, President Biden had an opportunity to meet with all of our local leaders. I understand that Congresswoman Gwen Moore actually flew in on Air Force One with the president, and Milwaukee was, a centerpiece. So Mayor Cavalier Johnson engaged, Milwaukee County Executive David Crawley, of course, Governor Evers, a number of people engaged to be able to, understand what it is um, that we're trying to get done here in Milwaukee. The other thing that was cool, in addition to some fundraising and campaign activities, he was here. His trip served a dual purpose on the official side and campaign side. Conversations. But he also took time to stop by this radio station to call in and to have a conversation with me about some of the questions that we may have as African Americans paying attention to this whole thing. Speaking to Black constituencies in particular, because people understand how important the Black vote has been to Joe Biden in terms of his presidential aspirations. We know that it was Black people that helped to turn the tide when people thought that Joe Biden was out for the count in relationship to the 2020 presidential election, going through the primary process. And Black people stepped up, after Representative James Clyburn comes through. They come out of South Carolina stronger than ever. Black women get behind Biden. The faith community gets behind Biden. You start hearing phrases like "I'm riding" or "riding with Biden," and it flips the sentiment about this man's possibilities in relationship to securing the Democratic primary nomination. We are a big deal. The Black community is a big deal and should be when you start talking about voting. We have a say. We have a lot at stake. We need to be players in this game. And the one thing that I have done for as long as I have occupied this seat is to express to anybody running for office, whether it is at the local common council level, all the way up to the White House, the importance and significance of making time to come and talk to Black voters, to come and talk to Black supporters, to come and talk on Black media outlets, to give respect to the people you are asking for their vote. Some people do it and some people don't. One of the things I've been trying to do is make sure that the people that don't respect us, that don't talk to us, that they pay for it, that they understand we are a voting bloc to be reckoned with, that we are due what every other community is due by way of engagement. Some people listen and some people don't. But if you don't fight for yourself, if you don't demand that people come to these radio stations and that people speak to our issues and needs specifically, that people take calls from our listeners, that people engage with Black Talk radio hosts, no matter what you personally feel about people, you're going to have a problem. You demand respect. I appreciate, and I've said that over the years, I appreciate the folks who value this radio station, who value the folks that listen to it, who value the ability to come and have access to be able to talk directly to listeners and make your own case, and who are not afraid to take questions, who are not afraid to be put on the hot seat, who are not afraid to walk into a situation that may be unfamiliar, because you asking for our vote. The day the Black community wakes up and realizes how powerful you are, how we have the ability to change outcomes in elections, when we realize that and we harness that power, we move things for our community. We make changes. So there was work done and initiated by the Biden campaign to come directly to this community, to have the President of the United States call in to Milwaukee's Black owned premier station, WNOV, and talk directly to our listeners. We recorded that interview. I am going to play it after the break. I encourage you to listen in, listen closely at what was said in that interview, because there were issues that were raised that were specific to us. What's been done, what still needs to be done, how we have benefited, what the challenges have been, and what the opportunities are. So I'm going to take a break. And when we come back, I'm going to play, or we will play, the interview with President Joe Biden right here at WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. Be right back. Talking to the people. Try, get them to go your way. Tell them not to worry. That we won't be led astray. So blind, I'm signified. Your opponents, hard line. Think of the mistakes you make. God believe us, America's at stake. You know, busing is the issue. Ow! Do you have a plan with your if you have a plan, if you have a master plan, I got the vote for you. Hey, got the vote for you. You're the man.
You got a whole lot going on. Feeling really good.
Yes, sir. I noted that you guys had put 44 campaign offices around Wisconsin. I will actually be at one of the centers on Saturday for a canvas. So we are ready to roll in Wisconsin.
Well, I tell you what, God love you. We win Wisconsin, we win it all. That's a fact.
Well, we are looking forward to doing our part. But, Mr. President, first of all, let me say congratulations on securing the needed delegates to be the Democratic presumptive nominee for the presidency this past Tuesday. And then last weekend, you delivered your third State of the Union address, and you hit a lot of hot button topics. Of everything you discussed, though, what is the most important thing you wanted people to take away from your address?
The past president of the United States, Trump, has a fundamentally different view of the world and the United States than I do. He thinks we're a losing nation. He thinks we're declining. He says things like, for example, down in Mar-a-Lago, he's saying, I know a lot of you are rich. We're going to give you more tax breaks. I mean, he cares about as much of the families that I grew up with as I don't know what. And so I think the big thing is we have to make sure people know what we've already done and what a threat Trump poses is greater than ever. What's at stake is our democracy, the soul of the nation. Freedom under attack, the right to choose, the right to vote, the right to love who you love, and the right to have a president who will have the guts to stand up to Putin, stand up to dictators, and, fight against the bullying hate groups. Talking about this, the guy who talked about how the attempt to overthrow the election was these were patriots, he said. He's going to free them all if he gets elected. I mean, where's this coming from? This is not who we are. And the enthusiasm we're picking up as we go around the country is real. We've raised a whole lot of money. We've particularly, we have 1,500,000 donors, including 500,000 are brand new and they're small donors. 97% of the donations are under $200. And people tell me there's no enthusiasm out there, more from ordinary people. That's not what we're seeing. And I think the press is going to be coming around as well.
Well, I know here on the ground, we're doing a lot of conversations, talking to a lot of people. And I got to tell you, Mr. President, first of all, given the demographic makeup of our listening audience, primarily Black or African-American listeners, this is a unique opportunity to speak directly to our listeners. Understanding everything you know across the legislative and political landscape, what do you think is at stake in this election for Black Americans specifically?
Well, I think a lot's at stake. For example, I I've made a number of promises. I've kept those promises. Let's just say, for example, black unemployment is a historic low and still going down since I came to office. Nearly 15 million jobs created, 2.8 million of those for black Americans. Black small businesses are starting up at the fastest rate in 30 years. More black families have health care coverage than ever before. Look, we cut black child poverty in half. Black home ownership is up. I'm going to invest a hell of a lot more. We've also invested in black universities, HBCUs. I've canceled a significant amount of debt, 3.9 million borrowers, including many black borrowers. We keep fighting for more relief. We're increasing the minimum Pell Grant for $900, affecting they rely on Pell Grants. We're trying neglected. For example, how many black communities are in a situation where they come from a circumstance where they're in difficulty, where the families are in real trouble, where you have people who, how many, even those families that are really poor don't have any books in the house. The kids don't hear a whole lot of conversation. Well, we learn, I'm going to fight like hell to get passed again, proposal I put forward to say that we should have preschool for every single kid, starting at age 3, 4, and 5. The studies show when we do that, it increases the graduation rate by 50%. These kids go all the way through, no matter what the background is. So, the thing that bothers me most coming from a community with the 8th largest black population in America is the idea that black kids can't do what white kids can do. They don't have the opportunity. And what I'm doing is making sure they get the opportunity. For example, we're in downtown. I'm here at the headquarters now. And, we're making sure that there used to be thousands of 17,000 homes there back in the 6th Street project, 1,000 small businesses. They all got wiped out. With highways and changing. And what we're doing is they're coming in with $3.3 billion nationally. But right here in this city, $36 million for the 6th Street project, reconnected communities, helping families and businesses. So look, the guy I'm running against hurt black people every chance he gets. The way he talks about the black community, the way he drove up uninsured rates. So I guess what I'm saying is there's not a single thing that a white kid, a Hispanic kid, an Asian kid, a black kid can do that they all can't do. It's about getting an opportunity, just getting a chance. This is all about creating chances, creating opportunities, and that's what's happening. And that's what I'm proud of.
Well, and I'm glad that you had an opportunity to mention that. We consistently at this station talk about what that record looks like for the Biden-Harris administration in relationship to the African-American community. And even when I think about what's been done around the child tax credit, what was done for black farmers, I mean, these are historic programs that have been, when people talk about a game changer, you literally have been able to pull people out of poverty because of some of the work that's been done.
Well, I'm really proud of it. Look, like I said, I got involved in politics as a kid. I didn't plan on running. I love reading these biographies. I knew I was going to run. But, I got out of law school. I got there a partial scholarship to get through, couldn't afford it. And I got out of law school, and what happened was I came back, and my city was the only city in America that's been occupied by the military for 10 months with a military person on every single corner with a drawn bayonet after Dr. King was assassinated. And I'd gotten a job with a fancy law firm and a big-time law firm, and I quit and became a public defender. And what I realized was it's all about organizing. It's all about getting people to know what's going on. It's all about talking about how we're going to change things, and we have changed it. We've changed things a lot, but there's a lot more to do. Imagine what we can do. If we, in fact, invest the money in our schools. Imagine what we can do in terms of continuing to forgive debt. By the way, African Americans end up borrowing more to go to school, college, by I think about 60% more than everybody else does. Well, they get this enormous debt. They graduate. They can't make it. Well, I've forgiven over $1 billion in debt for not just, I forget the exact number, but it's $13 billion, $138 billion in student loans that we forgave. 9.3 million borrowers, including, as I said, black borrowers who keep fighting for more relief. And look, the thing I've learned, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, is not a damn thing that a black kid can't do that a white kid, a Hispanic kid, an Asian American kid can do. They can all give it a shot. Give it a shot. My dad used to have an expression, and I mean it sincerely. He'd say, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about being able to look your kid in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay. Give people a chance and they step up. America has never, only country I'm aware of, I'm a student of history, the only country in the world that comes out of every crisis stronger than it went in. That's America. And this guy calls us losers. This guy calls America a failing nation. This guy talks about things that are just even hard to believe anybody really says, the kind of language he uses. So I'm truly optimistic. I'm truly optimistic because we've changed the dynamic here. Instead of building this trickle-down theory about the wealthy do very well, that everybody will trickle down not a whole lot trickle down on my dad's kitchen table. We had 4 kids in a 2-3-bedroom split-level home with a grandpa living with us. We weren't poor, but we had to borrow money to go to school and all that. No hardship story, but it just, and what we do is if you give middle-class people a shot, the poor have a way up, and the wealthy still do well, but you got to start making sure the wealthy pay their taxes. We have 1,000 billionaires in there. You know what their average tax rate is? 8.2%.
Wow.
8.2%. And you have, you have a president saying down at Mar-a-Lago, and this is a quote, I know plenty of you, and you're rich as hell. We're going to give you more tax breaks.
As we already come off one of the largest tax breaks that, some of the wealthiest folks in this country had seen during his administration, during his presidency. So that in and of itself is scary. But I got to ask you, because like I said, we are predominantly African-American station, but we have folks that listen from all over the state and quite frankly, around the country and the world. I'm real proud to say, as you are out on the campaign trail, President Biden, what are you hearing from folks? I mean, we were fortunate to have you over at the Hillside Boys and Girls Club today. You've met with local community leaders, state leaders. What are you hearing when you are moving around right now? What's the sentiment, the mood from folks as you are making your way around the country?
Well, the empirical evidence is, for example, the consumer confidence is up 25%, that people are more confident about the future than they were before. That's just in the last couple of months. And, it's the most increase in 35 years. Here's what I knew. All the things everybody told me I couldn't get past. They told me I couldn't get the infrastructure bill was provided for roads, bridges, highways, making sure we eliminated all the lead pipes in America so people could drink water without lead in it. They're making sure we have affordable high-speed internet, which costs billions of dollars nationally. They told me I couldn't get that done. We got it passed. And then the Affordable Care Act came on, and then we had the situation where we took care of our veterans, making sure that they got compensated. These burn pits all over the country, all over the world, we're fighting people coming down with multiple cancers. And now, because of the law we passed, with very little Republican support, we ended up making sure that we could get things done. One of the things I've been confident of, where the hell is it written that we can't be the manufacturing capital of the world? We have created over 800,000 manufacturing jobs. We passed a gun safety law, bipartisan, first major law in nearly 30 years, sending background checks. More. Did you ever think you'd have a program where you had to talk about children having to duck and cover in classrooms if they're getting shot? More kids killed by guns than any other thing. I mean, it's just amazing. And then you have the CHIPS Act, semiconductor. We invented those chips, and guess what? We used to produce 40% of them. got down to virtually zero. I was able to convince billions of dollars in investment in chips for these factories. And by the way, they pay really well. The average wage is close to $100,000. You don't need a college degree. Restoring American leadership in the world stage. The bottom line is, I know I'm talking too much. It strengthens our background, these gun safety laws, these red flag laws. My son was the Attorney General. We passed one of the first red flag laws in the country. But here's what's not happening. Think of how our freedoms are being affected. Would you ever think you'd have to worry about if you had a pregnancy that was you were in trouble, that you wouldn't be allowed to have your life saved or be able to make sure you're able to have children again? I mean, there's just so many things. And, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. I mean, my God, this guy's flat out trying to prevent people from voting, cut back on voting. So, I don't know. I guess I'm getting carried away here, but no.
No, it's necessary and so needed, because the thing that I'll just say this, and I want to be conscientious of your time and your schedule. So I just have one other question for you, but it ties perfectly into your last comments. I've had some tough conversations with both my listeners on this show and in my own family about the significance of the fall 24 election. Frustration with partisan gridlock, in some cases, even with candidates, has a number of people questioning whether or not they plan to show up at all in November. So what would you say, President Biden, given all of the things that you've outlined, to someone who was thinking about staying home instead of coming out to vote this November election?
Well, I'd say this. Remember when I got elected in 2020? Folks said I couldn't get anything done because it was such a close election, because the country was so divided. Look at what we're able to get passed. We passed that significant act in terms of dealing with infrastructure, including everything from the lead pipes to having internet established everywhere in the country. They told us we couldn't get it done. We got it done. We got the CHIPS Act, the semiconductors. We have billions of dollars being invested from abroad, creating tens of thousands. We created 14 million new jobs. 14 million new jobs. I passed the Veterans Bill, the PACT Act, the Restoring American Leadership in the World Stage, chips and semiconductors, providing thousands and thousands of jobs, investing literally several billions of dollars building factories here in the United States. And the list goes on. They said it couldn't do it. But guess what? We only had a slight majority in the first 2 years and no majority in the second two. And look how much we got done. Look how much we've gotten done. Look, something me. I know how to get things done. I really mean that. That's a presumptuous thing to say. But we got a hell of a lot done, growing the economy, and there's so much more we can do and the cusp of doing. And I think we can. I think we're going to be able to do it.
Well, I just got to tell you, as somebody, and, for full transparency, I am a Democrat. I am involved with the administrative committee here for the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, and I'm somebody that's planning to do the work. Your reelection is important to me. I think it's important to our community. And I got to say this, I want to thank you and your team so much for seeing the value and speaking directly to our listeners here at the WNOV 860 AM family. There are folks that, when you think about local talk radio, they pass us by. We have to filter information from other sources, surrogates even. This is a huge deal for our community. And the fact that you all made this happen, it's not lost on me how much you value and respect this particular demographic.
Well, by the way, like I said, that's the reason I got involved in politics. Is my state. It's what I did for 36 years as U.S. Senator. And I said, by the way, that I was going to, and I kept my promise, I was going to have an administration that looked like America. I appointed the first black woman to the Supreme Court. I appointed more Circuit Court of Appeals judges who are African American than every other president in the history of the nation combined. I moved in a direction where we found out that I have first black vice president of the United States of America. My cabinet is made up of a significant number of African Americans, because there's not and look, it matters. because I want everybody to know there's not a single thing that a Caucasian American can do that a Black American can't. Start getting a chance. Start getting a chance. And it's really beginning to change. And, and again, the things that Trump is arguing about, like I said, at Mar-a-Lago, he tells an audience, I know plenty of you, you're rich as hell. We're going to give you more tax breaks. He invites Russia and the tax to do whatever they want, the hell they want, to a treaty ally if they don't spend anything enough on. The thing that bothered me the most, having lost a son because of his service in Iraq, he took glioblastoma in burn pits. He actually said, cemeteries of U.S. soldiers killed in action were filled with suckers and losers. Suckers and losers. He didn't want photographs of veterans who were amputees because it doesn't look good for me.
Right.
God Almighty.
Yeah.
God Almighty.
It's beyond belief. And I, when Nikki Haley was finally offended after he had said something about her husband who is serving, abroad right now. And, she finally stepped up and said something. I said, where was the outrage? All along the way, we've heard disrespect of veterans, POWs, those that have been, injured in war. Where was the outrage? So I certainly share your frustration, and given that I have family members that have served as well, just the insult that this causes, and I'm so glad that we have somebody like you that are championing these veterans, their families, the service, and respect the commitment and sacrifice that people have made right up into and include your son Bo as well. So President Biden, I'm gonna get out of your way because I know you got a long day still ahead of you, and I know you're off to Michigan tomorrow. But sir, I just want to again thank you so much for your time today, and wish you continued luck and success as you go for this second term. And hopefully in November we throw a big party to celebrate your victory.
Well, I hope you'll invite me back in your program.
Definitely.
Said the reason I got involved in the first place in public life is because of the African American community. That's not hyperbole, that's a fact. And like I said, I just think it's time we straighten things out.
And, and I'm going to tell you, for folks that are listening before you get out of here who say, oh, yeah, that sounds like political speak, getting involved with the African-American community. But I remember reading in your memoir when you talked about being in college, being in college and working as a lifeguard and working with students predominantly from HBCUs, and what that interaction and those experiences meant to be around other folks in other communities. And I looked at your work as a public defender. And so you have a long, varied history with trying to figure out ways to make life better for everybody in this country, and African Americans have been front and center in that journey. So again, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you taking time to speak with us this morning, or to speak with us today.
Thank you. I look forward to speaking again. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, family. That was an interview with President Joe Biden. As folks know, he is in and has been in Wisconsin and is out on the campaign trail coming off of a highly successful State of the Union address. And as I said, just securing the needed delegate votes to get and become the presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party for the 2024 presidential election. I'm going to take a break and I'll be right back.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee.
The next election is Tuesday, April 2nd. And as we know, elections have consequences. Not being informed we pay can be costly. On Saturday, March 24th, the Executive Committee of the Community Brainstorming Conference invites you to their Spring Candidates Forum to hear from candidates on the ballot at various levels of government. Attend this informative program at St. Matthew's CME Church, 2944 North 9th Street. Again, on March 24th. Never a charge to attend. Continental breakfast served at 8 a.m. Program starts at 9 a.m. You can also join online by visiting communitybrainstormingconference.org.
Hi there, I'm Deslyn Smith, the Executive Director of United Garden Homes Incorporated, the proud sponsor of the Nayumbu Opendo Show, broadcasting on WNOV on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Poverty, illicit behaviors, drug abuse, and addiction have been affecting the quality of life for decades, not only in the Garden Homes neighborhood, but within disenfranchised communities throughout our country. United Garden Homes Incorporated is a neighborhood association-based nonprofit organization committed to supporting individuals and families to see beyond their current situation by way of education in mental health, substance misuse, and violence prevention, as well as with the utilization of resource advocacy to empower and promote healing in our community. For more information, contact United Garden Homes Incorporated at 414-554-5538 or via email at info@ughinc.org.
If you're looking for mouth-watering eats and delectable treats, look no further. Eat local and visit the Sherman Phoenix today, where you can find everything from delicious organic wings and smoked barbecue to satisfyingly seasoned vegan food to sweet, buttery, made-to-order desserts. The Sherman Phoenix is also home to a day bar, serving mixed, frozen, and tropical drinks. Experience the Sherman Phoenix effect at 3536 West Fond du Lac Avenue, open Tuesday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Visit theshermanphoenix.com to learn more.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee.
Well, you've been talking to the people, trying to get them to go your way, telling us not to worry. You say we won't be there straight. We're so tired of y'all singing fine. How do we know till it's too late whether or not you've been lying? Think of the mistakes you made. I believe so that humanity's at stake. You see, busing is just one issue. What about the rest of the mission? Well, if you got the plan, oh, I said if you got the master plan, I got the vote for you. Oh, yeah.
Now, back to Say Something Real with your host, Michelle Bryant on WNOV.
Maybe what this country needs is a lady.
Now, President Biden might be 81 years old, but tonight he proved that he's 46. When President Biden said at the State of the Union that he was turning a setback to a comeback, he meant that shit. 15 million new jobs, 800 manufacturing jobs, record low unemployment, inflation from 9% to 3%, infrastructure law, American Rescue Plan, CHIPS and Science Act, capping the cost for insulin for seniors to $35. Now, he didn't say the number, but I'm going to tell you that number. $1.5 billion alone in 2023 to Black-owned businesses, only to Black-owned businesses. Let's talk about tangibles. Now, I love the fact that he called out Republicans on their shit. Now, he said it's funny that you guys voted against the infrastructure bill, but y'all cheering on the money being sent to your district. And even without saying that name, he said, you cannot claim to love your country only when you win. That was a bar. Okay, Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, y'all ain't got it on Biden. Now, Biden, drop the mic and drop the mixtape, okay? Because we buying it, shit, okay? FOMO.
So look, we had to do all we could to cut out the profanity from this brother who had made this clip on social media after the State of the Union address. Keon, kudos, because it was work not to get on. Y'all got the hit though. Y'all knew when the curse words was dropping, but Keon did his best to be able to kind of blur that and be able to play what I think what the administration has to do more of, what folks around the country have to do more of, that's trying to get people to understand what the Biden Biden-Harris administration has contributed, particularly when it comes to communities of color, specifically African Americans, is credible messengers in the community. Like people who got a real connection, who got real followers, who really influence people, not folks that people think, oh, this person this is their title, so we're going to send them. You better check their credentials and receipts. Do they have an actual following? Can they turn anybody out? Will anybody move because they talking? Will anybody move because they asking them to? Because it's a whole bunch of people that we send to talk on our behalf that's not moving nobody. Or they moving the people that was going to come anyway. You need people to get to folks who sitting on the fence, who are undecided, who can't understand all of the policy initiatives that have been done, that have benefited this particular community. And so when we heard this brother, and y'all look, for the people who can deal with the swear words, you got to hear it unfiltered. This dude is so good that, and he ran it down in like 1 minute and 15 seconds. He hit this, he hit this, he hit this, bam, 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 bam. And that's how we got to be able to talk to people about it. That's why when folks call in here, oh, really, what has Biden done? Oh, really? Oh, run the list, baby. Run the list. So I just have to say that I appreciate the fact that Keon was able to do that. We got a couple of callers on the line. Let me go to the phone line real quick. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Good morning, Awesome Sauce. Good morning, Keon.
Good morning.
I just love you, Michelle Bryant.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Solis. I appreciate it, sis. All right, y'all. So a couple of other things. There was a moment when I'm listening to the president's remarks, because that's the first time I listened to the interview myself in full. And when he talked about that, there are people that have to have the guts to stand up to Putin, to stand up for democracy. And one of the first things I thought about is the false bravado of Donald Trump versus real leadership when you see it. And let me do this real quick. And I'm not sure if he's already off the line, but not the phone line, but listening at home. Two things. Let me just take a personal moment before I roll on with the show. And please bear with me. You know how they be at church, like a personal moment of privilege or personal point of privilege. Just give me 1 second, because I don't want to miss this moment. So a couple of things. Number one, my son called me this morning because he knew the interview was happening, and he said, Mom, is everything straight? Is the interview still happening this morning? Yep, it is. And he said, okay. He said, we'll be listening, and I'm keeping Atlas home from school so he can listen. And I said, no, don't do that. I said, it's recorded. So, he'll be able to hear it. And he's like, no, I want him to hear it in real time. And I said, okay, cool. But don't let him stay out of school the whole day. Let him go to school after you get a chance for him to hear the interview. The idea that it was important enough for my son to think that my grandson needed to understand it. Hopefully we're planting seeds for this little boy about civic engagement, being involved, understanding politics, and being willing to speak up and be a part of the process. So I applaud my son for holding my grandson back, even at 4. Atlas won't understand everything. He might know that's grandma's voice. But those seeds are being planted early. So number one, I want to tip my hat to my son. I also want to I know my brother is listening. In terms of my immediate family, we got a small immediate family, and people know that my brother has been struggling with his health. And a number of you have reached out to me to say that, you were praying for my family and for my brother, and you don't even know this boy. To my brother Bruce, family, all I can say is, what would Peter Bryant, with his 3rd grade education, who was hell-bent on making sure his children and his grandchildren had more than he had, what would granddaddy say right now? And what would mom say? So to my brother Bruce, keep fighting, keep doing what you got to do to keep your strength up, so that we can get all the time that we can get. I love you, bruh. Yesterday, I made a couple of calls when I finished recording that interview. One of those calls was to young brother by the name of Nick Truog with the Democratic Party of Wisconsin. Because as people, work to figure out how to get Biden in this community, how to get him talking, there are folks that will say, you need to go here, you need to go there, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I know that Nick, a young brother that I work with directly alongside Ben Wickler over at the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, these are people that root for me. Even when folks are mad with me because I don't always go along with the program. This opportunity didn't have to be made available to me to interview a sitting president of the United States. So for all the hands that were in that interview that I didn't know anything about, that, rooted for me, that made it available for me to have this opportunity, I just want to publicly say thank you so much. Because I know it's a lot of people that won't mess with me. A lot of people was pissed off after the Mandela lack of support on my part. And I don't get interviews. There are people, if you pay attention, they don't call my show. They don't choose to appear on my show. But I believe that when you hold true to what you believe, that it works out in the end. And I can't change who I am. I'm not getting ready to kiss nobody's behind. When you stay true to you, whatever is intended for you, that's what's going to happen. And the people that decide that they don't want to be bothered with you, deuces. The other thing I did by way of a phone call, I called Martha Love. This is a sister who has politically brought me into the party, guided my work in a lot of areas, pulled my coattail when it needed to be pulled, and has been one of my biggest cheerleaders and mentors. You got to turn around when these big moments in life happen for you and say thank you to people. So a public thank you to Martha Love for her role in my political development, along with former state senator Lena Taylor, now Judge Taylor, who pushed me in terms of being a political director, working on campaigns at a high profile level, who advocated for me, championed, my abilities, and who would knock a door down to make sure that I got opportunities. I'm actually at this radio station in part because of the willingness of Lena Taylor to say, A, we need to go look at how we can be of assistance to the radio station. I will make your schedule flexible enough that you can do both of these jobs. And she pushed me into some of these spaces that I had no intention of going to. So thank you to Judge Lena Taylor. I want to just make sure I say that. And then I made another phone call last night. I made a phone call to Faith Colas. Faith Colas, former talk show host here at the station. A lot of people know Faith in the community, and she is the wife of Eric Vaughn, who is no longer with us, but a major radio personality in this community. I called Faith, and I told Faith, I said, I'm calling you because you're the closest I can get to saying thank you to Eric Vaughn. Because when Eric and I came to this town around the same time. He was here before me, but I didn't come too far after him. And I would listen like many of you listen every day. And I would call in and I would challenge and I would push back. And Eric Vaughn I think it amused him that, like, who is this chick calling, to kind of get at me. And Eric Vaughn started inviting me into the radio station. And then before I knew it, I had a regular segment with Eric Vaughn and Dr. Damon Means on Fridays where we just talked about a number of issues. That led to me filling in for other hosts, Keith Murphy, when he left the station. I did a special show with Cassandra McShepard, in her role at the radio station. And there were people who saw something in me, who nurtured it, and who, as opposed to folks that'll try to you might end up being competition for me. You might end up being a problem for me, that they said, whatever I can do to help you, in this platform. Sherwin Hughes, another brother who made his show available to me to be able to hone my skills as an interviewer and learn as much as I could. So I need to say thank you to those people who created an opportunity for me. And I wanted to thank Faith Colas and the work that they do with the Eric Vaughn Fellowship to be able to give actual journalists an opportunity to be represented and have a voice in this community and to be a part of everything. And the last thank you, and I'm going to forget people that I should thank, but the last person or the last folks I need to say thank you to is the WNOV family, specifically to Gerald Jones, to his management team here at the station, Mary Ellen Strong, Debo, and the number of folks that make the station go, to my counterparts and my colleagues who all encourage each other to be the best that we can. But it takes a lot when you realize that at one point I left this radio station because of a disagreement about nothing more than access and people having an ability to be heard and to talk to the folks who say they want to lead us. And even in leaving and then a subsequent conversation to come back, it took a lot on both parts for management to say, yeah, let that girl back in the door, or for me to say, yeah, I'm willing to come back into the door. Because at the end of the day, what the station management and I both figured out is what's the most important thing is the work. It's not whether I like somebody, dislike somebody, I agree with them 100% of the time. It's about the work and the need to be a resource for the Black community. So I tip my hat to Gerald Jones, because when I tell you I know I can be a pain in his butt and I can be a pain in the butt across the board because I'm stubborn about the things I believe in, he is too, that the ability to sit here in front of this mic is a privilege, one that I respect and one that I value, and I am glad that it has been made available to me. So when we come back, we're going to go on with the rest of the show, but this was a big deal, and I would be remiss if I roll through it like it wasn't. It doesn't happen every day for people in local talk radio that you get, Black talk radio, that you get to talk to the president of the United States directly. And so for everybody that had a hand in it, that produced it, I just got to say how much I appreciate you. And the thing I will say on my way to commercial break, to have our young social media director, I'm not sure what Carvey's title is, in the room to see all of this play out. As this young brother is doing if you're watching on Facebook or Instagram or anything right now, that's Carvey. YouTube making that happen, that's Carvey, 18-year-old brother sitting in his studio. But he got a chance to see what's possible career-wise, politically, civically, when we was getting on him about voting. How many young brothers are going to be able to say, I was a part of making this happen with the president of the United States? We getting this opportunity because folks saw a need to keep Black Talk Radio alive. And so thank you. And thank you most importantly to the listeners of this show, because without y'all tuning in, there's no reason for us to show up. I got to take a break. I'll be right back.
Families are paying more for everything from gas to groceries is wrong. Milwaukee voters should oppose increase in property taxes by nearly 30% in order to provide increased funding yet again to Milwaukee Public Schools. They've already wasted nearly $1 billion in new taxpayer funding, and now they want more? They don't even have a plan on how they'll spend it. Enough is enough. Milwaukee voters should just say no.
Paid for by Enough is Enough. Vote no.
Black history is something to appreciate, celebrate, and participate. Play Ode is a mobile app that streams America's best Black-owned radio stations and podcasts from across the country. ODE stands for Our Digital Entertainment. Play Ode features music and entertainment for us and by us. Listen to WNOV The Voice Milwaukee on the Play Ode app. Elevate your radio listening and participate in supporting Black radio. Download PLAYODE or log on to odeaudio.com for info and insight.
Wisconsin Black Chamber of Commerce would like to congratulate John Fletcher, the second winner of the pitch competition for 2024. Which Milwaukee entrepreneur will be number 3? Are you up for a karaoke challenge? If you or your professional organization are up for the challenge, come on out to the next Third Thursday networking event featuring the pitch competition, March 21st at Rise and Grind, 2737 North Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, 5 to 9 p.m. Who will end the night with bragging rights? Don't be scared. We're hosting a fundraiser for Mayor Cavalier Johnson, Friday, March 22nd, 5 to 8 p.m. Come on out and support 2900 West Philippe. And meet us at the gathering at Potawatomi Hotel and Casino for entertainment, fun, prizes, and networking. Saturday, March 23rd, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit twbcc.com to keep up with what we have going on.
You're listening to WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee. Something Real with your host, Michelle Bryant on 860 WNOV.
All right, family, welcome back to the show. This is Michelle Bryant, WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM. There are a number of folks paying attention to the show this morning on Facebook. Let me say good morning to everybody that is watching. I got to do a better job, but I want to remind people that you can watch us on Facebook at 860 AM WNOV, and you can check us out on YouTube, WNOV The Voice. Hit subscribe so you know when we're going on air. It will link you up to all of our shows that we do. And again, when you see this magic happening, young brother Carvey, 18, y'all. Well, even though he keeps reminding me he about to be, 19 in May, but young brother at the table helping to make a lot of this stuff happen in terms of technology. So one of the things that I wanted to just hit real quick before I move forward, when I said when you start thanking people, you always forget folks. There's one name I definitely want to call this morning before I move on. That's my brother Romel Brown over at Courier Communications, one of the quietest giants I've ever seen, who helps to make things happen seamlessly and smoothly. And always, whenever I need extra time, I need this, I need that, however he can accommodate, he always does. He helped and was instrumental in making all these pieces fit yesterday. So I tip my hat to brother Romel Brown as well. All right, so let me move on. Okay, one of the things that Joe Biden said, and I had started that before I remembered to have some home training and thank people, was this line about people having the guts to stand up to Putin and for democracy. And I said something about the false bravado. It made me think of the false bravado of a Donald Trump and his lack of real leadership, but that people have conjured up in their mind in some way that this guy is someone to be revered, to be elevated to the highest office in the world. Being the president of America is literally one of the highest offices in the world. You literally engage and interact on a stage that very few people do. I mean, maybe two other people, like maybe. And so when you think about Donald Trump's comments that were referenced by President Biden in relationship to the disrespect of the U.S. military members who have either been prisoners of war, who succumbed to injuries received in war, who talked about the burial grounds where these veterans lay, that this was a place for losers, who was disrespectful to Gold Star families, who, he wore a fake uniform at school. His little pictures of his military school. I mean, like, you didn't serve nowhere, bruh. You didn't pick up arms and go to battle. You were never on a battlefield. You don't know what it means to physically be in the trenches. And so all of these fake Republicans who profess they love for the U.S. military and want to cry and put on all these shows, but you let a dude who clowns the military on any given occasion advance to the presidency is beyond me. It boggles everything I understand about, right and wrong. When you think about real leadership, the ability to say people in this country need health care. When we look at what's going on around the world and how there are countries that have figured out how to provide affordable or free health care to its residents. And then the first thing Donald Trump says is, if reelected, I'm going after the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, again. Nope. In 4 years of presidency, I never provided you with a plan. I kept telling you on Tuesday, my team is going to have a plan. Tuesday never came. So when you got a Republican and Republican surrogates spouting stuff like, you don't have health care, blame the immigrants. No, blame the people that's in power, because immigrants aren't making these decisions. There is a clip that I must play by a congressional member out of St. Louis, sister by the name of Jasmine Crockett. When I tell you, and I want to thank Cassandra D for sending me the clip. I was aware of it, but she made it easy for me because she posted it on my Facebook page. But let me see if I can bring up this clip, and it's gone. Let me, because so this is what we need more of. And hang on. Okay, let me see.
Elections, but you back a guy who we know.
Wait. Because he comes in at a crazy spot.
Tried to steal the election. And this isn't about what Democrats have to say. Let me remind you, for those of you that don't know how the justice system works, it's not a matter of the president went in and indicted Trump, but we are talking about grand juries. Grand juries are comprised of American citizens, and the people that have entered pleas of guilty that will be flipping on your leader in a minute, they are Republicans. I do want to point that out. And half of them were Republicans that were handpicked by Donald Trump himself. So to be clear, whatever happens to your little leader It's going to be because of the actions that he took. So you can talk all you want to about how January 6th was nonsense, but all of y'all were running at that time. Y'all were grabbing y'all's gas masks and y'all were running to your offices because you didn't know if they were coming to kill you. You should have cared that somebody was there to protect you, but instead you want to play games because you found out that it was your leader that decided that he wanted to propagate an insurrection on our country. So don't tell me that you care about the Constitution, because you don't. All you care about is Trump getting reelected, and I'll yield the last of my time to my leader.
Thank you very much.
Let me tell you why nobody wants to talk to y'all behind closed doors, because y'all lie. That's just the bottom line. You have done it thus far in this investigation. You have done it this far as it relates to this committee. And every single hearing, y'all spin. I don't know how y'all are still standing right now, because you should be quite dizzy from all the spinning that you're constantly doing when it comes to spinning the truth. You talk about free and fair elections, but you back a guy who we know tried to steal the election. And this isn't about what Democrats have to say. Let me remind you, for those of you that don't know how the justice system works, it's not a matter of the president went in and indicted Trump, but we are talking about grand juries. Grand juries are comprised of American citizens, and the people that have entered pleas of guilty that will be flipping on your leader in a minute, they are Republicans. I do want to point that out. And half of them were Republicans that were handpicked by Donald Trump himself. So to be clear, whatever happens to your little leader, it's going to be because of the actions that he took. So you can talk all you want to about how January 6th was nonsense, but all of y'all were running at that time. Y'all were grabbing y'all's gas masks and y'all were running to your offices because you didn't know if they were coming to kill you. You should have cared that somebody was there to protect you, but instead you want to play games because you found out that it was your leader that decided that he wanted to propagate an insurrection on our country. So don't tell me that you care about the Constitution, because you don't. All you care about is Trump getting reelected, and I'll yield the last.
All right, family. So I let that clip play a second time around because you didn't get the first part of it when it started. But that is Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett out of Missouri. When I tell you, I take great joy in listening to this sister, because you need some people that's going to tell the unfettered truth, devoid of, I'm trying to be politically correct, I'm worried about X, Y, and Z, but just straight no chaser. And we don't have enough elected officials that's willing to do that. And I love the fact that it's an African-American woman and she uses certain quips that, you know, people in our community hear and start laughing. When she said that part about, I got her place where she's from wrong. My bad. I'll correct it. But when she said, yeah, your little leader in a minute, like they gonna flip on them in a minute, and all black people know what we mean by in a minute. I was blown away by Jasmine. This girl she is the truth. She reminds me of Judge Taylor when she was a state senator, because you could depend on somebody to break it down, make it plain, and say it in a way that was uncomfortable for the people sitting around them. I'm not getting ready to play games with you about what needs to be said. I got to take a break. But kudos to this sister and other legislators like her who do not play games with these people, because we are in the fight for our life, and you got to call out nonsense. Like January 6th was not an insurrection. What did she say? All y'all was running. All y'all had y'all gas mask on. All y'all was scared because you didn't know if they was coming to kill you. Now you standing your behind up telling people no one should have gone to jail for January 6th. Say something real. I'll be right back.
I pity the fool. I said I pity the fool. Well, I pity the fool, yeah. I said I pity the fool that falls in love with you and expect you to be true. Oh, I pity the fool. wonder what they're doing. They just standing there watching you make a fool of me. Look at the people.
Does owning a home seem out of reach? Let us help you outline the steps to get there. Join Columbia Savings and Loan Association and Port Washington State Bank for one of our home buying seminars on Friday, March 15th at 12 p.m. and 5 p.m. Learn about home buying steps for success, how banks look at credit, and discover grants and programs that could be available to you. Seating is limited. Register now at www.pwsb.bank/seminar. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, NMLS IDs 460-289 and 810969. The Wisconsin Home Energy Assistance Program end of the season is approaching. Don't miss out on benefits and help with your weed energy bill. Just go to keepwarmmke.org. It's made it easy for you to schedule an appointment. You may also call 414-270-4653. Don't delay. Call us today. Again, that's 414-270-4653. Or visit us online at keepwarmmke.org. This is administered by the State of Wisconsin Home Energy Plus Program.
Are you and your loved one looking for home health care? Well, look no further. Eternal Love LLC is your trusted partner for personal care services. Their team understands the importance of providing quality and compassionate non-medical assistance. They provide options with no out-of-pocket costs to you, and they even come to your home at your convenience. To get signed up, you can visit their website at eternallovellc.com or give them a call at 262-933-4020. That's 262-933-4020. Eternal Love LLC, providing compassionate care right at home.
She's been called a vocal force to be reckoned with, and now you can experience the artistry of Shayna Steele live and in person when she joins the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra for Nothing But the Blues, March 15th through the 17th at the Bradley Symphony Center. Call 414-291-7605 for tickets or visit mso.org. Shayna Steele will take you on a musical odyssey with popular tunes that helped establish great artists such as Bessie Smith, Billie Holiday, and Louis Armstrong, as well as the blues genre itself. From the St. Louis Blues to House of the Rising Sun and Baby Won't You Please Come Home, you'll be swinging and swaying in your seat. So come and bask in the vocal glory of Shayna Steele with the MSO in Nothing But the Blues, March 15th through the 17th only. Visit MSO.org for tickets or call 414-291-7605.
WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee. Now, back to Say Something Real with your host, Michelle Bryan on WNOV.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. And yeah, let me just fix that real quick on Representative Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. So she does represent Texas. She was born in St. Louis, though. Know some folks who know the Congresswoman. She was born in St. Louis. And St. Louis claims her for show. Let me also claim her because she's a member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority and an attorney, and she is a boss. And when I sat there, I said, see, maybe there is a place for me in politics, because my approach, I'm not getting ready to play with y'all about what we see going on. And you're not going to keep lying, in these meetings and congressional hearings and committee meetings, and trying to brush off what we know to be an untruth. So this sister calls it like it is, and I 100% adore her. Pay attention to Jasmine Crockett, because there are days I'll be like, "Ooh, Jasmine, you went too far." And then you think about the seriousness of what's going on, and you like, you know what? Somebody needs to say it. Somebody needs to say it. We have way too many leaders, particularly leaders of color, who are more concerned about what their own party members are going to say or what somebody is going to say about them than what they came to do. These jobs are not promised to you. While you are here, do the work that you told people you were going to do. It's not about protecting your seat. It's about protecting the community you serve. And if you let that be the guide, you'll be okay, whether you are in office or you're out of office. But that has to guide us. I'm here to protect the people that sent me. I'm not here to protect the governor. I'm not here to protect my other colleagues. I'm here to protect the people that sent me. Now, if I can help the governor while I'm here, I will. If I can help my other colleagues while I'm here, I will. But y'all not my first priority. Y'all my second priority. The first priority is the people that sent you. We got to remember that. So with that being said, let me take a second in the last little bit of time I got left to talk about some of the obvious stories that are going on around us. Number one, Donald Trump is in court again today. This dude, oh my God. Like, he is now trying to basically get a delay in the court case on the classified documents. He knows, and his attorneys know, that the arguments that they are advancing are meaningless and ridiculous in terms of, oh, I'm the president, and so I can take anything out of the White House that I want to. All I have to do as the president is wave my hand or just think it through osmosis. Everyone else should know that I am either declassifying documents or I've just decided, because I'm the leader of the free world, that I can do absolutely anything I want to. And see, he believes that because when he was campaigning for office, he said, I can stand in the middle of, was it Fifth Avenue, and shoot somebody, and y'all will still vote for me? And y'all proved him right. So therefore, he believes that extends to, as president, I can do whatever I want to, and y'all gonna just, y'all gonna just give me a pass because I'm the president, or I was the president. Everyone has made clear with some common sense around this dude, that's not how this works. You don't own U.S. military information. You don't own U.S. Secret Service documents. You don't own the work product of the United States. Bruh, you had a job. When the job ends, your access to certain documents and possession of certain documents ends as well. You no longer are walking around with the nuclear codes because your job ended. You no longer can pick up and order anybody to do anything other than the silly House Republicans who won't pass an immigration bill because you're no longer in office. And that's any job. The presidency is not a dictatorship. You're not a king. You don't have infinite powers for the rest of your life after you leave the White House. You don't get to do anything you want to while you're in the White House. That's the thing that makes us different from a lot of countries. So what's happening today is nothing more than Donald Trump nonsense on how can I delay. We will wait to see what some of those decisions are. They won't be made right away. We will also, again, we're waiting. They keep saying it could happen any day. The decision in the Fonnie Willis case and whether or not she'll be allowed to go forward as the prosecutor in the Trump indictments down in Georgia. We have also heard that in terms of Trump himself, 3 indictments were thrown out, or 3 charges were thrown out. So he's now down from 91 counts to 88 counts. But think about that. The Republicans are all jubilant because you putting a dude forward who is facing 88 counts in varying courts for a number of violations, ethical, criminal in some cases, well, criminal in all cases, because you couldn't be facing a count if you weren't, but or civil, I should say that probably in some cases. But this y'all nominee. This is what we excited about. We throwing a party for this dude with the mounting legal bills, who we now know who said, "Hey, I got $400 million on hand, liquid in cash, and I could drop it like it's hot if I need to." And then now, that was last year. Now this year, can I get a little something on it? Can I get a layaway plan? I just can't hand you this money like right away. Can we talk about it? But you said you had it, bruh. You rich like that. Oh, you don't? No? So we'll continue to watch how this whole thing unfolds. But the other thing we have to pay attention to, and it takes me back again to something that a Republican was saying on these airwaves and talking about, caller, I'll be right there, but talking about, the immigration situation. I just want people to do it the right way. I just want people, to appreciate and respect the process. But here's the thing. Sometimes it's an emergency, like what we see happening in Haiti. And for all the black folks who, damn the immigrants, I don't care about them people. They taking away food from our mouths. No, they're not. It wasn't coming to you no way. Because if people in power wanted to help you, as I will continue to say, they would have helped you a long time ago. They would have helped you before an immigrant ever stepped, on American soil. They don't want to help you. And primarily, these are Republicans. They don't want to help you. They don't want to help you secure housing because they talking about you should have you some bootstraps. They don't want to make sure your children eat. They don't want to give you the money you need for a proper education. They're not interested in you. They're interested in their wealthy donors, white suburban moms. You don't fit the profile. Republicans was never coming to help in any meaningful way. And if they did help, understand this. It was something in it for them. Not for benevolence, but because it's something in it for me. I got to take a break. But we got people right now being killed in Haiti that are fleeing political unrest, that need to come to this country to get away from what's happening. Oh, wait. We're going to send them to Guantanamo Bay. Got to talk about it. Michelle Bryant, WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM. I'll be right back.
2024 Soul Stirring Gospel Easter Band, March 31st, sponsored by the New Kids Mortuary, located at 2031 West on Capitol Drive. Pick your tickets up 45 in advance, 50 at the door. On my way home, the Captain Spiritual. Oh, the gospel for he's blessing me. I feel it in my feet right now. Baby, you better meet me there. Brunch at 1, the show begins at 4 p.m. The fabulous Lucky Brothers, my soul is a witness. I feel it down on the inside. Be right there at Abundant Faith, located at 7830 West Good Hope Road. Oh, Willie Rogers, we're going to a meeting on that day. I see them marching down the street. Come on in from everywhere, northwest, south. Oh, it's going down. There's a leak in this old building, Bishop Neil Robertson, and my soul has got to move. Don't you miss it. Call the New Kids Mortuary, 414-447-6000. It's going down at the Soul Stirring Gospel Easter Bash. Oh, I gotta stop right there, Brian McIntyre. My feet got light. I feel myself flying right about now. Come on now, you don't want to miss it. Be right here in the house. It's going down. So come on now, Tiffany Terry. Everybody know he's my friend. Oh, you don't want to miss it. You be right there. That Soul Stirring Gospel Easter Bash. That food is going to be yummy, yummy, yummy. I tell you, come on now, Reverend R.L. Bush and the Revived Sons. Put the weight on me. Oh, not that kind of way, because that food gonna be so scrumptious. Pick your chickens up at the the new Pitts Mortuary. Tickets are also available at Nick Avani's and Mayfair Mall on the second floor.
Make it a real Mad March with a playoff payout at Potawatomi. Every week, you could score your share of $100,000 in cash and free play. Play this March for drawing entries. Win each Thursday. Plus, the prizes refresh every week for even more winners. The playoff payout at Potawatomi, Milwaukee. It's anyone's game. For more details, visit paysbig.com/payout. Must be 21 and a club member to play.
This is Martina Colin-Graves, President and CEO with Mental Health America of Wisconsin. I want to take a moment to remind you that your mental health matters. This time of year can be stressful, but we have programs and services committed to supporting our community. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping adults and kids live mentally healthier lives. We offer online screenings, outpatient therapy, and a peer-run warm line for support day and night. Call us today. 414-276-3122 or visit mhawisconsin.org to learn more about these services.
Hello, I am attorney Coral Plus, and I'm inviting you to join me for a new show here at WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM. You asked the name of the show? It's Money Talks with Attorney Coral, and it'll air each and every Thursday from 11 a.m. till 12 noon. We'll discuss financial literacy and what part Columbia Savings and Loan can play in your journey to financial freedom. Remember to join us each and every Thursday from 11 till noon, right here at 860 AM and 106.5 FM.
Hi, this is Keith Pierce, the host of Community Voice, asking you to join us Mondays through Fridays from 9 to 11. You will hear from interesting guests, Wednesday's Word, and topics and subjects that impact our beloved community.
And don't forget about me, Devon Jones, DJ The Protege, here every Friday, bringing you Free Flow Friday, Politics Nation, Sports, Haters Nation, local events, national events. And remember, while I'm here, there'll be no passes given.
That's Community Voice heard on The Voice, WNOV 860, 106.5.
You're listening to WNOV 860 and W293CX 106.5 Milwaukee. Now, back to Say Something Real with your host, Michelle Bryant, on 860 WNOV.
All right, family, welcome to the last few minutes of the show. Now, we are going to have to do a deep dive next week. I'm going to do my research all weekend and make sure I cover as much of the bases as I can, because we got to talk about what's going on in Haiti right now. The U.S. is getting ready to send troops over to secure our U.S. embassy and to deal with some of the issues that may be impacting American citizens in Haiti. You know, I'm just going to say on a sidebar, a side look, how we will readily go into a country with black folks, but we will fall back when it's time to go someplace else. But we'll get into that next week. Yes, sir.
Michelle, look at my eyes. Roll them. Hey, while we talking about things going on, I just thought about this while you talking.
Yeah.
Because you ain't even look behind you to see. So this Clark station on 20th and Capitol has just reopened. It's been closed for a while. It's been remodeled. And the man has admitted, because he just opened, gas is $2.79. So y'all best to come get it before he throw it up to $3.20. Which is where it's already at.
$2.79.
It's $2.79 right there.
I think my gas light came on.
You're for real. Oh, I think I need a gas can.
Let me go. Thanks for that public service announcement.
Yes.
All right. So, and one of the things that they have said in relationship to Haiti is that we could potentially see an influx of about 15,000 Haitian immigrants right away that are trying to flee the civil and political unrest that's happening in Haiti right now, in which there is a loss of life, destruction of property. The leader in Haiti has had to flee because, and is being, held at bay because they not letting this dude back in. They, the gangs have taken over, and So we got to have this conversation, because it's easy to say one thing unless you in that situation. I always tell people what I won't do until you get put in a situation. I would never take somebody's life. I would never steal food. I would never do this. I would never do that until you so hungry you can't feed your children. You never know what you won't do until you put in a situation. I want to tell you what I believe I'm not capable of. So it's easy to talk about do it the right way, when it's not your children and your wife and your family members being killed. And, we just had 300 school children abducted in Nigeria by gangs who holding these children for ransom, or talking about they're going to all be killed. It's easy to sit up on your high horse and talk about the right way when you're not the one in harm's way. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey, Michelle, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you today?
All right, so I told you I was going to call in yesterday.
Yep, you did.
So I want to clarify what the guy was saying yesterday to be a little bit more, put it in perspective. So we are the most propagandized people in the world. And the reason I say that is because we only look at the shiny object and not who's behind. It's kind of like the magic trick. They say, don't look at the hands, look at the eyes. So, and I say this, for example, remember when, what was going on right before January 6th? What was going on around the country? I mean, not even just country, around the world.
We forgot.
Go ahead, tell us.
So it was BLM movement, George Floyd, all that other stuff. It was all defund the police, right? So that was all that was going on, and people were getting pressured. Now, January 6th, like you said yesterday, that BLM was infiltrated by the FBI. We already know this. No different from what they've been doing to our leaders for years. I mean, I have my quarrels with BLM because it's the Black Liberation Movement, not Black Lives Matter. But anyway, I digress. But going back into it is that they infiltrated them. They were doing things to initiate things to look like it's like, oh, look at these protests. They're all over the place. They're breaking it and they're burning down stuff. Knowing along, the FBI and the CIA had infiltrated the movement. So the same thing happened on January 6th. Hence the reason why they didn't have the proper security there like they were supposed to. This is also the reason why they didn't interview the head of the Capitol Police when they were doing these hearings on Capitol Hill. And also, right after this happened, because you brought up that lady that was killed by the Capitol Police, but that's all we heard. We didn't see it. Now, we were only gifted little portions of the video. They got cameras all around that place. Now, you mean to tell me if this happened, you didn't have it on camera? No, I'm not believing that. So this is the reason why.
Wait. So are you saying, so let me just be clear about that particular incident. So what are you saying? That you don't believe the incident happened? You believe she wasn't in the wrong? What are you saying?
I know what I'm saying is it's kind of like the whole Bin Laden body we took out the sea situation.
So you don't believe that Ashley, so what are you saying though? You don't believe Ashley Babbitt was killed? You don't believe, I don't understand what that particular, and I do want to understand that before you move on. What exactly are you saying about Ashley Babbitt?
What I'm saying is, I don't know if she was killed by the Capitol Police, or but the limited ones that were there.
She was killed by a black police officer. You see him shoot her. You see his black hand with the gun coming through the broken window that she broke, and you see him shoot her. Donald Trump tried to release that officer's name because he wanted people to turn against the black officer who was the only one willing to shoot at these people. Like, okay. We gotta be honest and clear about that. She was shot and killed by a black police officer who Donald Trump has done everything he could to try to leak that officer's name to the media to enrage people so that they would come after that black police officer. He was the only one willing to shoot that day.
All right. So to go on. Now, what happened immediately after January 6th? What piece of legislation got pushed?
Tell me.
So the piece of legislation got pushed is because everybody was talking about defund the police. more legislation that got pushed was, I think, was 337.6, and this was brought in by Amy Klobuchar. So she brought in this bill saying that we're gonna not only are we not gonna defund the police, we're gonna give the police more money. Now the Capitol Hill police have a different agency, so we didn't get what we were fighting for. And again, like the defunding thing, it was used. We needed to stop having set 60 to 70% of the budgets in the cities to be going to the police budget. That was the whole defund the police. It wasn't like we don't need any more police. But again, what we were fighting
just
for.
Let me just say this,
happen.
bro. Wait, let me just say this real quick because my show ends 5 minutes early on Thursday, so I got like less than 2 minutes left. So I just want to pull you in. We can obviously pick this up next week, but I just want to put that out there for you. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right.
So just really quick, this is what I was saying about being more propagandized. So that happened. We know they didn't interview when they had the hearing on Capitol Hill. They were asked how many FBI agents were on the ground. It's no different from the situation where the FBI was in trying to kidnap the governor. I think it was governor or the mayor of Michigan. And they tried to blame it on those people. So again, propaganda.
They blamed it on the.
But we can pick it up.
But wait. Okay, so yeah, we'll pick it up next week. Thank you so much, and I'm glad you kept your word. You got in. We'll follow up. Look, y'all, we're gonna have these conversations because we're gonna have to tell some hard truths, and we're gonna have to push back on some stuff that's not quite right. But I want to thank everybody that made the show go this morning. Thank everybody that has reached out, and for folks that watched us on all of our social media. Key, appreciate you, bro. Carvey, my man. All right, y'all. Talk to y'all next week.
We gotta find us a better solution. Just let it all hang down here. Or say something real. Say something new. Baby, yeah. Said your words, girl. Something real. Yeah. We're like soldiers, some revolution. To our word, no solution. And we're speaking words, some healing words, some feeling words. Baby, yeah. Say what you want, girl. You know that I need